What up, guys? I've been getting a lot of DMs to do a render video and how to do one, so I'm gonna do one here. It's not gonna be a full in-depth one, but if you would like to see that, definitely let me know. But this is kind of just like if you know Blender already, this is something you could follow along with. But like I said, if you want more in-depth, then I can definitely help you out with that as well. But for starters, we just get the bike in Blender, select a part of the bike, and I'm just gonna go straight into setting up the nodes. And yeah, it's pretty easy. Basically just follow along what I'm doing, and you'll be able to obviously get exactly what I'm getting on here. And everything I'm using will be links in the descriptions, like the bike I'm using and the wheels. Those are free releases. Uh, but to search these specific nodes, I'm hitting Shift and A, and then you just search them up how I'm searching them up, and then just copy and paste them exactly how I have it. And this is just to get the node set up to see the graphics on the bike and the norm on the bike as well. Alright, now that we have the norms all set up, we're gonna go ahead and head over to Photoshop and grab the diffuse and the norm. With the diffuse though, you have to turn the shading off. It has to be off for the renders. They just look funky if you have them on. With the norm, you just save it as the norm, just as PNGs, but just make sure that the shading is off on your diffuse. That'll make your renders look really good. You can spend all the times on the mats, but if you have your shading on, it's just gonna look weird and not look right. Alright, now that we got the PNGs saved, we're gonna go ahead on the top image texture, we're gonna apply the diffuse, and on the bottom image texture will be the norm. And just make sure that you have it set to non-color, how I set it there, for the norm only, and make sure you set that off for all of it. All the norms need to be set to non-color. The diffuse just needs to be how it is. Just apply the diffuse, and then basically what I'm doing here is just applying the nodes to every part of the bike that doesn't have the textures already on it. And that's what it'll look like. Just basic, just has the diffuse on it with the norm. No material set. This is as basic as it gets, just to see the bike in Blender. Alright, next up we got the wheels, and like I said, everything will be linked down in the description to get the blend files for these. Mostly all of them are available on the forums. That's where I found the bike and these wheels. But anyways, just kind of doing a rough alignment on them. You know, the front wheel you can get kind of good, but the rear wheel, I'll show you. You kind of set it after you put the diffuse on it, just because you can't really see the sprocket on the rear to line it up with the chain. You'll see what I mean in a minute here, but like I said, just doing kind of rough alignment with the front wheel here, and then I kind of get the rear wheel just close enough, just to get it, you know, at least near the rear swing arm. But you'll see in a second, I use the same node setup, but there is something different here. I just connect the alpha to the diffuse texture to the alpha of the principled BSDF, and that's just so when you render the bike, the wheels, you don't get these like weird looking squares on the side of your bike, of your wheels when you render it out, and so that cancels that out. You just connect alpha to alpha, just like how I'm doing there, and then you just apply the diffuse from the tires and the norm as well. Set the non-color, same node setup, and basically just apply those to all the parts that don't have the textures on it. And here you can see what I was talking about earlier about putting the PNGs on the rear tire, just so you can line up the sprocket better with the chain and really make it as close as you can there. Alright, and then here I'm adding the stand. Same way you do it with the wheels, you just append the stand into the scene you're already working on. And this stand is also will be linked down below. Free release on the forums. Um, I'll give creds to everyone that has released these for us to use and kind of practice with. And but right now I'm just aligning the stand with the bike, making sure the stand is the right size. And actually, you'll see here in a little bit, I mess up the mats for the stand. I fix it later, but it will look a little funky in the beginning. I just use the same node setup for the stand as well, and there's a PSD with the release with the norm, and you can customize the stand to however you want. But you can see here, those nodes are very complicated. I just like the clean look. They do look nice, but I did mess it up and copied it to every piece of the bike, like here, every piece of the stand, like I did here. And I realized it later when I was in the rendering, and you'll see it later that I changed it. But yeah, just getting the stand all ready to go, and we're getting close to the end, guys. Next up is the materials. So getting the bike, looking as realistic as you can. And you can really take your time with this, and I highly recommend that you do. I kind of use mats, just kind of threw them out there, just for a rough look. But I definitely recommend taking your time, getting reference photos of real bikes, things like that, and different lighting, and because mats and lighting make a huge deal on whether your bike looks semi-realistic, super realistic, or like a game like these bikes came from. Um, but I'm kind of just showing you how you separate the bike. So you hit L to select the whole part of the bike, and then once you hit L, um, you'll hit P and hit selection, and that will separate the part, and then you'll go in and duplicate a new material and assign that material, and that way it separates it for you. And then you just adjust the mats, kind of how I'm doing, just kind of messing with it. You really only want to mess with the metallic and the roughness. From most of the parts, you could do other things, but don't touch the spec. Metal parts obviously want metallic, plastics don't want metallic, but a lower roughness, things like that. It really is just like reference photos and knowing what a real bike looks like, and kind of just going off of that and doing it that way. But you can see me just I'm in the materials tab in the properties, and you can do the match right there. Separate each part of the bike right there, like how I'm doing. So right there, I'm just hitting L, selecting each part of the bike. So I'm doing the full exhaust. So I want every part that's metal. I hit L, hitting L, just getting all the parts that are metal, and then I'm hitting P and selection, and then just clicking it again, duplicate a material. You can name it. I named it for a few, and then I stopped doing it because this isn't. I already have a bike that's already set for this, so I just did it for this video. But it's very simple, but it does take a little bit, and it definitely can take a long time if you take your time with your materials and really make it look as good as you can, and which is what I recommend you do, because you spend all this time anyway, might as well make it look nice, and materials is one of the best ways to do that. I'm going to speed it up through this material process, but it's basically the same thing through all the parts of the bike. Just like I said, reference photos, and kind of just knowing what a bike looks like. You can kind of just go with the flow. And like I said, I'm just going to speed it up here, just because I'm doing the mats on basically all the parts of the bike here. Alright, now that we got like a basic material set for the bike, we're going to go ahead and append the scene. This will also be linked down below in the description. It's just a basic scene. It already has lighting set up, and I'll show it with the lighting. But personally, I like making my own lighting, and I'll also show you how to do that as well. But this scene is basically ready to go. You just gotta move the bike into the spot that it goes to, and you can see it'll show it in a minute. There's actually a rectangle there. That's kind of where you place the bike, and then the camera is already there. So basically just scaling the bike, getting it set to you know, the size that needs to be, and get it on the ground, things like that. And then here in a minute I'll go into lighting and stuff like that, but at the moment I hit 0 to get to this camera, kind of where the viewport I'm at now. Just hit 0 on your numpad, and that gets you to the camera view. And like I said, just doing fine adjustments, just getting the bike to the right size. And you could also scale up the scene as well, but I chose just to scale the bike down because really either way it doesn't matter. Alright, bike set in place, and then just clicking, you slide the bar there, click lock camera to view, and then I'm moving the camera with my mouse, and it's a really easy way to get the camera set exactly where you want it to be. And yeah, there's the basic shape there. This is where I noticed that the stand was messed up with the nodes, so I just copied the same node setup that I used for the bike, and then just used the PNG and norm from the PSD that came with the blend file for the stand, and using the same thing, just non-color on the norm, regular on the diffuse, and I just did that for all parts of the stand there. And yep, that was just one of the parts I messed up, so sorry about that. It's kind of late in the video. Just make sure you have the same node setup for basically everything, and then should be good to go. Alright, so now we're getting into setting up to render the bike. So you just want to go into, make sure it's on cycles. If you have a good GPU, set it to CUDA cores. Make sure it's set to the render type to GPU. I like to go 1500. You can go higher or lower, but I really just like 1500. Denoise, make sure denoise is on. Just kind of follow what I'm doing here. Medium high contrast. You can set your resolution to whatever, but I do 1080p. And then this is kind of what it'll look like with the lighting on it already. Kind of just with the preset. I think personally it's a little too bright, but you can render it just like how it is now, and not mess with it if that's what you like. And to do that, you just hit F12, and it'll render it for you. But like I said, I kind of like doing my own lighting. So here in a minute, I'm just gonna delete these and add my own lighting. So I'll show you how to do that real quick. Basically it's pretty easy. I like to stay in rendered mode, so right now there's no light on it. Oh, actually, I show how to do lighting with an HDRI. I forgot. So you can go to hdrihaven.com. I'll link it down below. They have a bunch of free HDRIs to use. I already have some saved, and most of mine are outdoors, so I wouldn't even use these for like an indoor render like this would be. So that's why I use my own lighting. But for certain outdoor renders, HDRIs are good because it's natural lighting with the actual background, and you'll see it here in a second. So it's real lighting with the real background, like it's a real picture. And I show how to get rid of the background here if you want to do that, and keep the lighting. So that's kind of how you can do that, and that's lighting with an HDRI. But like I said, I kind of like doing it my own way, so we'll go ahead and do that real quick. So just go add light. I like area lights, just because you make them bigger, smaller, point a certain direction, things like that. So kind of just play around with it. You can add a bunch of lights. Personally, I think I only added 3 here. Um, but you can go into the properties tab and the lights, make the wattage brighter. So you can see you get some lighting here, and then I just Control C, Control V, copy the light, same thing. On the other side, kind of turn it in a little more, and I adjust it later. But you can really kind of go crazy with this and do what you like. And you can see I'm just looking at it, seeing what it looks like. Like, oh, it's still too dark, so I add another light on the top. That's not as bright, but it still has a little bit of light, and it's a big area, so you can really just play around with it, kind of do what you want. Like I said, I didn't take my time with it necessarily. I kind of just rushed through it, but you kind of get the gist of it, and you can really just do this. I do the same thing when I take my time with the renders, just same process. I just kind of rush through it a little bit so I can fit it all in the video. And then here I'm just going into the shader editor and changing the background color of the scene. As you can see, you got the full rainbow on there. I mean, you can make it whatever color you want. I just went black. I usually go black or white. I know, I'm boring. But and then also here, if you want to make your renders look a little bit better, more realistic, I like going with that camera mode there. I forget what it's called, but kind of just click on the things I did, and kind of makes the bike, I don't know, to me I think that is a little more realistic angle to me. But there's all sorts. There's fisheye, like you saw. Well, I think I'm using some sort of fisheye, but it's kind of more like just a wide angle, and I really like that. So if you want to use that, you can use the normal camera, just how it was. But I kind of like using that. Alright, well there's the final product. Just hit F12 at the end to render the image, and then you just hit view, save as, PNG, you're good to go, you got the render all set, ready to go. I'm no commentator, so this was kind of out of my range here, but I did it. Hopefully this helps some people out, and yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not too hard. Once you know the basics, once you know what you're doing the first time, it just gets easier and easier. But yeah, that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I can do it more in depth later if you guys want that, but until then, I'll see you guys later.